In a food processing facility in the American Midwest, the same pasta is extruded through the same dies, dried in the same tunnel, and loaded into two different boxes on the same morning. One carrying a national brand name you have trusted for 30 years, one carrying a retailer's store label at 60% of the price. The product inside is not similar, it is identical. Three companies control roughly 90% of the raw materials, the processing infrastructure, and the retail shelf position for almost everything in your grocery cart. We are going to expose the invisible supply chain, reveal how white labeling extracts a premium from the same physical product twice, and show you what genuine independence still looks like. If you have pushed a cart down a grocery aisle recently, you probably believe you are looking at competition. Different logos, different mascots, different origin stories printed in reassuring fonts on the back of the box. You assume those brands are fighting for your business by building a better product for your money. That is an illusion. Before a single brand decision is made, the raw materials in nearly every product on that shelf already belong to the same handful of companies. Cargill, headquartered in Minnetonka, Minnesota, posted estimated revenues of approximately $177 billion in fiscal 2023, making it the largest privately held company in the United States by a significant margin. Archer Daniels Midland, publicly traded in Chicago, processed and transported enough grain, oilseed, and agricultural commodities to generate $93 billion in net revenues that same year. Together with Bunge and Louis Dreyfus, these four companies control an estimated 70 to 90% of global grain trading, according to figures cited in a 2021 report by the Institute for Agriculture and Trade Policy. Agricultural economists gave them a collective name, the ABCD Quartet. They are not brands you recognize from television, commercials. They are the infrastructure underneath every brand you do recognize. The consolidation that built this invisible layer unfolded over decades of deliberate acquisition. ADM absorbed Alfred C. Toepfer International in 1997, extending its reach across European grain markets. Cargill purchased Continental Grain's merchandising operations in 1999 for $550 million, eliminating one of its last meaningful independent rivals in North American commodity trading. By 2005, the quartet had quietly become the operating system on which the global food supply runs, and the consumer had no idea because none of their names appear on a cereal box. That is the first layer of capture. The second is where the brand illusion is manufactured, and nothing demonstrates it more precisely than what happens inside a pasta plant. A co-manufacturing facility running industrial extruders operates 24 hours a day. Downtime is lost margin. So when a national brand, a name backed by 30 years of television advertising, does not require the full output of a production run, the facility sells the remaining capacity to retailers at contract price. The retailer repackages the identical output under its own private label. Great Value, Kirkland Signature, Market Pantry. The pasta inside was drawn from the same semolina, shaped by the same dies, dried in the same tunnel, and cut to the same specification on the same Tuesday morning. The ingredient panels are functionally identical. The average price differential at retail runs between 30 and 40%. This is not a loophole or an edge case. It is the design business model, and it was engineered by people who understood exactly what they were building. The manufacturer captures full margin on the branded run and incremental margin on the private label contract. The retailer earns a private label margin running 25 to 40% higher than it earns stocking the national brand. Both parties profit twice from the same physical product. It is, in the words of one co-manufacturing executive quoted in a 2019 Food Business News analysis, the most efficient revenue structure in consumer packaged goods. Brilliant, and deeply cynical, because the only participant absorbing the full cost of the arrangement is the consumer who paid a premium for a logo. ConAgra Brands, headquartered in Chicago, reported net sales of approximately $12.3 billion in fiscal 2023. The company owns Healthy Choice, Hunt's, Slim Jim, Vlasic, Bird's Eye, and Marie Callender's. When you stand in a freezer aisle choosing between a Healthy Choice meal and a Marie Callender's pie, you are not choosing between competitors. You are choosing between product lines inside a single company, managed by one executive team, answering to one board of directors. That is not competition. It is a performance of competition, a managed portfolio engineered to occupy every shelf position and every price. Point while the profits consolidate at one address. The quality record confirms what the ownership structure implies. In 2022, the USDA issued a public health alert covering nearly 2.6 million pounds of frozen chicken distributed under multiple ConAgra brand names after listeria contamination was identified. Multiple brands, one manufacturer, one recall notice, and a timeline that followed a pattern documented repeatedly in federal safety filings. The problem existed before the public was told. The pricing architecture completes the capture. A 2022 analysis by Consumer Reports compared ingredient panels of 20 nationally branded grocery products against their store brand equivalents produced at the same facilities. In 17 of the 20 categories, the formulations were identical or differed only in minor flavoring agents. The average price premium for the national brand, 31%. You are not paying for a better product. You are paying for the advertising, budget, the end cap display fee, and the brand equity a marketing department maintained for decades. Raw supply captured, manufacturing captured, retail shelf position captured. They are not selling you food. They are selling you the feeling of having made a choice. This is not only a food industry problem, it is the same playbook Luxottica used when it owned both Ray-Ban and Oakley and spent years convincing consumers the two brands were rivals. It is the identical strategy AB InBev deployed when it acquired regional craft brewery labels across the country while the tap handles kept different names. Whenever a wall of choices makes you feel like you are in a free market, ask one question: who signs the checks? This does not mean you are powerless. It means you have to stop shopping like a consumer and start thinking like an auditor. Flip the box. Read the manufacturer address printed near the nutrition panel, not the brand headquarters, the actual production facility. Address. Genuine independence still exists in narrow corridors. Janie's Mill in Ashcombe, Illinois, is a certified organic, single-origin grain producer that prints the farm name, growing region, and milling date on every bag, a supply chain transparent enough to verify. Bob's Red Mill transferred full company ownership to its employees in 2010 when founder Bob Moore signed over the business rather than sell to a conglomerate. It manufactures entirely in Milwaukee, Oregon, with no co-manufacturing arrangements. In the coffee category, roasters who print the farm name, harvest year, and processing method are selling actual differentiation, not a brand a holding company acquired at auction. Check the manufacturer, check the panel. Never pay a premium for a logo that a corporation chose on your behalf.